What up, guys? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm Matt Wyatt. So this is going to be the end of the line for the road to Deadpool and Wolverine with Deadpool 2 because I'm not going to review Dark Phoenix or the New Mutants because Wolverine and Deadpool are not in those movies. Yes. So the next installment of the standalone X-Men cinematic universe, and it's going to be Deadpool 2 that came out in 2018. And we got a different director, and it's going to be directed by David Leitch, who co-directed the first John Wick movies. He does later direct Bullet Train. He directed The Fall Guy, Hobbs and Shaw. The list goes on. And I think David Leitch is a very great action director, and it was a great choice for him to direct the second installment of the franchise. So now this is no longer going to be a love story. It's now going to be a family movie. This sequel is a little bit more bolder and more violent than the first one, and I enjoyed it, and it's a lot more funnier than the first one, even though I still prefer the first one as a better story. But this one, where Wade Wilson has now lost Vanessa, and things escalated, and they were planning on to have a kid, and now everything fall apart when he lost Vanessa and died right in front of him. Died right in front of him, and it was devastating. They went a lot more darker than they did in the first movie, even though there's been so many jokes and so many callbacks, and it's more self-aware, and they continue to do the fourth wall breaking and doing all the meta tongue-in-cheek and stuff. But it got a lot of heavy for this moment for the death of Vanessa, and for him to grab that guy to hug him and gets run over. He's now depressed more than ever, and they did the great job with the opening credits. The opening credits felt very James Bond-like, and they played the Celine Dion song called Ashes, which is supposed to be the song for the Deadpool movie. And I'm surprised that song didn't get nominated for an Oscar. It should have won. It was the best song that came out that year, and it fits so well into the tone of the story. And they were so consistent with the honest names and the casting line, saying, "What the hell? This is written by the real villains. This is directed by the guy who killed the John Wick's dog in the John Wick movie," and I completely laughed my ass off. They continued to be genius with the honest names that were calling out so much of the obvious of what we reacted in that scene of the death of Vanessa. Now he's more depressed and he has nothing to lose anymore because Vanessa was his whole world, his his ride or die, and has been constantly trying to kill himself because he's got nothing to lose. He thought that if he kills himself, that he reunites with Vanessa, but he knows he's immortal and he has the healing factor. And they had the extended cut called the Super Duper cut, and they showed you many versions of how many times he died when he tried to kill off himself, and it did not work. So now Colossus grabs him and wants him to join the X-Men team and wants him to be part of the new family and becomes an X-Men trainee. He did once went into the afterlife when he had a near-death experience after he tried to blow himself up in his own apartment, and he sees Vanessa, and she tells him that your heart's not in the right place, and she's being all given all the cryptic and shit. Now he's need to figure out what she was talking about. But there is one scene in the opening of the movie where when he turns that music box and we see Wolverine, and it has the Logan sign. And it was really just more of the scene of the reenactment of his death, and they totally poked fun of it. And I laughed my ass off in the theater. Everybody was dying when they showed us the music box of the death of Logan, and it was funny. And it was very well subtled. He definitely poked fun of the death of Wolverine. He was like, "F Wolverine." He ups the ante by dying, and guess what, Wolvie? I'm dying in this movie too. That was brilliant. It was genius. But now he becomes an X-Men training, and he meets up with this kid who is now causing wreak havoc at the orphanage, and we don't even know why he's causing havoc. And it's by the actor that was in a Taika Waititi movie called The Hunt for the Wilder People, and he was really great in that movie. And to see him play sort of the antagonist, you get why that he is doing the things he's doing and why he's causing havoc, because he's raised in the orphanage, and you see the mark on his neck that he's been abused. So apparently he was tortured in the orphanage with a bunch of mutant haters who consider them as an abomination. They do show a little bit of an exposition flashback in the theatrical cut, but in the super duper cut, they showed you more context of it, but prior to the events. And I did like how he was trying to talk into Rusty out of this whole situation, try to play the good cop, bad cop routine, and things are constantly escalating. But after he tries to apprehend them, and they put this like mutant power dampener collar that just suppressed their powers, which that was so funny that he poked fun of, like, that could have been very useful in the first act because he could have used that to off himself and get rid and suppress his mutant ability. But things didn't go as well as planned because Colossus was so mad that he can just like gun down those men. And he's all about doing everything by the book, but Deadpool was all about fighting dirty. And now him and Rusty are now in the Supermax prison full of mutants. And we meet up with Cable. We finally got Cable, and it's played by Josh Brolin. I thought it was a perfect casting choice, even though his appearance were not like in the comic books. And then, yeah, Deadpool definitely poked fun of that, and that was fucking hilarious. In the comic book, he was supposed to be the son of Cyclops and Jean Grey, who was raised in the future timeline. But obviously, they never will touch on that in that movie. But Josh Brolin was great. He was coming off of the heels of Avengers: Infinity War that played the iconic villain Thanos, and those two movies came out in the same year. He was on a roll as an actor, and it was so crazy that he's playing different characters in a different Marvel universe, played by different studio with Fox and Disney before Disney and Fox merged together at the time. But I thought that his character had a great, rich, complex backstory because he comes from the future. His daughter and his wife got burned and killed, and now he wants to go back in time and try to fix it by killing Rusty because according to his side of the story, when we find out later in the movie that the reason why he's hunting him down was because Rusty later becomes a criminal that becomes a reign of terror, and he is responsible for the death of his family. And he wants to kill him before he even gets a taste of getting his first kill. And that prison fight scene with him and Deadpool was absolutely awesome. It was an adrenaline rush. It was brutal and bad. It was, oh god, it was so brutal and bloody at times. But he like we all know that Deadpool always cracks jokes and every time he's in the middle of a fight because that's always been his thing because he is the merc with a mouth and he continues to poke fun of those pop culture references. The one thing I love that he was able to call out Disney for was the song called Papa, Can You Hear Me? From a Barbra Streisand movie. And he was like, why is that song so familiar? Why does it sound like Do You Want to Build a Snowman for Frozen was coming off from Barbra Streisand movie, which I don't remember what it's called. So it was clearly obvious that Disney clearly ripped off that song from the Barbra Streisand movie, Papa, Can You Hear Me? And then the song was called Do You Want to Build a Snowman?
Is it just me, or Do You Want to Build a Snowman from Frozen sound suspiciously like Papa, Can You Hear Me from Yentl? Papa, can you hear me?
And I love that he was able to call out Disney on their BS before he was even with Disney at the time. But it was so funny that he was able to call out the obvious. And you know, Dopenner, the taxi driver that we saw in the first Deadpool movie that becomes friends with them, he now wants to become a contract killer. But for some reason, Deadpool always gives him a lot of excuses to not become a contract killer, and it was the most funniest thing ever. Now that Deadpool is all about protecting the kid and become very selfless, and that is one thing that he wants to do before he goes out and reunites with Vanessa, and he kind of got the idea that that's what she wants. For me personally, I wasn't a big fan of the Rusty character. I didn't really have any sympathies with him whatsoever. He was kind of an unlikable D-bag to me. I mean, I understand that it was wrong for them to torture him from a child. I get that. But for me, I did not care for him, to be honest with you. I was kind of fine with him getting killed by Cable, but you know what? It is what it is. But now Deadpool recruits a bunch of mutants that will become part of the X-Force team. And we got Domino, which was supposed to be his partner in crime in the comic book, I believe. I could be wrong, but she has the power of luck. And they casted Zazie Beetz for the role, and I thought she was fantastic. She was a great addition to the movie. Deadpool still does not believe that a luck is a superpower. They think it's a bunch of BS made up stuff. But no, it turns out she has the power of luck. And the way that they recruited the mutants for the X-Force team was fucking hilarious, especially when they got Peter, a character who has no superpowers, who just saw something online and just decided that, hey, I wanted to join. And he lets him join the team.
Last but not least,
Peter.
any powers you want to tell us about?
I don't have one. I just saw the ad.
You're in.
So practically he's expendable. I mean, in the marketing, they completely poke fun of it. There's been so many memes for it. And to see the X-Force teaming together, then everything escalates when they parachute down in the wind advisory effect. They all die. They all get killed, except for Domino. They really set that up for the gag, and a lot of people got upset because in the marketing, they were setting up as an X-Force a team that was going to probably set up for the standalone, for the spinoff movie, and everyone got upset when everybody got killed off. And the Vanisher was fucking hilarious the way he died and when he got electrocuted, and you see Brad Pitt make a split-second cameo, which he did not get paid to make a cameo. He did that shit for free, and I thought it was the funniest shit ever. I was laughing my ass off, so silly I almost died. Because literally, they only did this for the gag. Because this is still Deadpool's movie, so I'm not that upset about it. I can understand why people would be mad about that. In another second round with him and Cable was absolutely fantastic. And we get a reveal of the Juggernaut, the one who is the big guy, the one that Rusty partners up with. I love how they've handled the Juggernaut. And according to the people that are comic book fans of Juggernaut, they really did him justice. He's a CG character, but he looks fantastic. He's more ruthless. And he's supposed to be, I think he's supposed to be the brother of Charles Xavier. And he's the one that put him in the wheelchair in the first place in the comic books.
But because your brother tries to read your mind?
Yeah, but he's in a wheelchair, so even Steven.
And they really did him better than what they did in the X-Men The Last Stand. But when Cable and Deadpool are now coming to a compromise, a decision that we need to stop Rusty and stop the Juggernaut, and they're going to have to team up. So he's only allowing Wade to give him a chance to prove that he can change Rusty and stop him from doing what he's going to regret and what he will become. And maybe that will change history. I love the third act finale. I love the showdown with Rusty and Cable and Deadpool, and him taking out a bunch of goons from the orphanage was awesome. Colossus has finally joined and teamed up with Deadpool again, and now he's fighting the Juggernaut, and the showdown between him was absolutely badass. And look, to me, I thought it kind of dragged out a little bit too long. I mean, Rusty was literally at a point where he's out for blood, and he really wants to kill the headmaster because he really wants revenge for torturing him. And it was great to see it, but it was like, dude, come on, he's too far gone. But he had to do one little selfless act by putting on the collar, the power dampener, and taking a bullet with Rusty after Cable tries to shoot and gun him down, and he sacrifices himself, and that's what got Rusty to change his path. And yeah, the scene was beautiful, and they poked fun of the Logan death scene because they used that same score that they did in Logan and try to make him the parody of it. And look, I love the death scene, but the joke of him slowly dying kind of dragged on a little too long when you thought he was going to die, but then he still is breathing. It was only funny for the first couple of times, but then after that, it was like, okay, we get it. Let's get to the point. He reunites with Vanessa. Finally, he get to do one little selfless act before he goes. And it's something that he's been planning on for a while. But Vanessa tells him that this is not his time to go. You have your family that are looking up to you. And Cable pulls a 180 where he travels back in time and uses that one last juice of his time traveling device to save Deadpool and change history. Now he's going to be stuck in this time period, and now that Deadpool is living on, and I enjoy that, I really do. But then the post-credit scene comes at the very end, where now he used Yukio, who is Negasonic Teenage Warhead's girlfriend, to fix that time traveling device so that he can jump back and forth at any time periods, at any timeline that he wants. And the post-credit scene was the best part of the movie. It was the best post-credit scene in any comic book movie, period. It brought laughs, it brought a joyous smile on my face, especially when he meets up with his version with the Deadpool character from X-Men Origins, the one that sold his mouth shut. He completely gums him down and shoots him a bunch of times and meets up with Wolverine. And in the super duper cut, that's not in the theatrical cut, he tells him, yeah, you're gonna one day hang up the claws and everyone's gonna be sad, but one day when I ask you to come back, say yes.
You're gonna hang up the claws, and it's gonna make a lot of people very sad.
Huh?
One day your old pal Wade's gonna ask you to get back in the saddle again. And when he does, say yes.
And that's not in the theatrical cut, it's in the super duper cut. And I love that. It brought much laugh and a smile on my face. And then we get another scene where he meets up with his version of Ryan Reynolds when he has the script for Green Lantern that became a major disaster at the time, and he just shoots him in the brain. And we all died laughing because we know that him choosing the Green Lantern route was a big mistake and it was terrible. And he was like, you're welcome, Canada. They play the Sheer song, Turn Back Time, which it fits so well in the tone of the movie. Overall, I really still love the Deadpool 2. I don't think it's as good as the first movie. I still think it had a better storyline, but it still served a purpose to the movie, and it was a great follow-up sequel. What did you think of Deadpool 2? Did you love it or did you not like it and it wasn't made for you? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below and let me know your take and tell me your experience watching Deadpool 2 in the cinema. I hope you guys have a great day, great evening, wherever you're from. Thank you so much for watching my videos. If you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to my channel for more of my videos. And my goal is to reach 500 subscribers. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to follow my social media links, the link tree will be down in the description down below. Thank you so much. Stay tuned for more of my videos.